County Fairgrounds USA, countyfairgrounds.net. Welcome to today's podcast.
Hi, this is County Fairgrounds in CoolKay. Do I have TC Hatter, the statue guy, and the clown on the line with me?
Yes, you certainly do.
Hi, Mr. Hatter. How are you today?
I'm good.
So tell me, who is TC Hatter and what does TC Hatter do?
Well, basically, I'm a clown. I interact with people in a nonsensical and funny manner, hopefully.
Okay, but you do something else. You're also a statue, right?
Yeah, I started doing the statue thing because my daughter actually lived in Spain for a couple of years teaching English. And we went to visit and we saw some people doing statue stuff in Madrid. And I looked at that and went, I could do that. And so then we have a farmer's market here in town, and I started doing it, and it was like, yeah, this is kind of fun. So then I've been doing that for, 5-6 years off and on. In fact, I just got done doing it for a weekend at a festival. It's kind of crazy because you get paid to just stand there, basically. You're usually working for tips, so I call it begging with style.
That's cute. Okay, so you're a clown, and how did that happen? Have you ever done anything else?
Oh, well, in college, my college roommate and I decided that we could be comedians because we saw people on TV who weren't very good. And so we started doing some comedy together. And then I got my college degree in education, and I went out and taught first grade for a couple of years in South Dakota on an Indian reservation, knowing I was only going to work a couple of years and then go and be a famous star somewhere, And after I got done with that, I went to Minneapolis to do comedy. And this was in, 1981. And the choices were, and I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, so I'm from the Midwest. So the choices were L.A., New York, Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis, basically to do stand-up comedy at that time that I knew about. And I wanted to stay in the Midwest, so Minneapolis sounded pretty good. So I went there, and I started doing some stand-up comedy, and I got in a Commedio-style theater troupe that did some touring things. And because I knew how to juggle, a clown club was looking for new members. So I joined that and found my clown character. And I started doing my clown character at one of the comedy clubs. I was working comedy club pretty steady because there were a lot of new ones. And if you would go and answer the phones on Wednesday, they'd give you some time on the weekend, that kind of thing. So I was working for free, but I was getting on stage a lot. And then one of the clubs had a puppet show for kids, but the guys doing the puppets would get tired and they needed a break. So they had my clown come, and my clown does a silent pantomime show. So they said, can you come and do a 15-minute thing for the kids? And so I did. And the owner of the club said, that stuff might work for adults. And so then I started doing open stages, not only as myself with my other name, and then I started doing TC Hatter, and it worked really, really well, unusually well for a clown in an adult place, and my mind worked really well that way. So pretty soon I was headlining as TC Hatter, and I met my wife, and she played the clarinet. She became my musical soundtrack. And for 20 years, we did comedy clubs, 46 to 48 weeks a year from 1982 to about 2002, we finally those eased up. And this was in the mid-80s.
Okay, well, slow down. So
sure.
What states did you do this in?
We have only 6 states that we have not performed in. One of them's Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And the other ones are Maine, Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island, and Vermont, I think. Anyway, that whole New England area we haven't performed in. But otherwise, between the comedy club, also in the middle there we did school assembly shows for a couple of years, and that added quite a few states in the South and the West. And we performed all over. We performed in Tahiti and Canada and the Bahamas for our international things. So,
and
we've
in
done
front
a lot
of a first grade class? I would think you started out as a teacher, right?
Sure.
And I would think that would be a comedy and first grade would go together real well. That's just my thoughts.
I still have when I'm not on the road working, I substitute at daycare centers here in town, a nonprofit daycare, and I'm a substitute for them, and I've been doing that for many, many years. So I keep my hands in with kids. I'm really, really good with kids. I'm pretty much magic with kids. Many kids and many adults are afraid of clowns or costumed characters, and I'm very good at easing fears and getting them to relax and to enjoy what I'm doing. And so as a daycare teacher, that's also very handy. You get the kids comfortable. You have a lot of fun, but at the same time, everybody's learning something there.
Okay. All right. So I always ask my entertainers, do you have any children of your own?
Yes. Marcianne and I, we have one daughter, and she's very successful. She's a writer and she's kind of a tech person now with computers with the company. So.
Okay, so what does she think of your career?
Well, she has to love it. The thing is, when she was young, when she was born, we were doing comedy clubs, so she traveled with us everywhere, and we homeschooled her till she was 14, ready for high school. So she traveled all over the country with us. She's seen comedy clubs. She's met many, many comics. It's a little irritating for her and any entertainer. When you watch a show, it's hard to just enjoy it because you look at it and you go, oh, that was nice. Oh, he could have tagged this differently, or that was staged weird. But other than that, I think she was very appreciative of everything we did and an example of, going for it and living your dream. People say, oh, you're not famous. Well, no, but, I sure made a living for a lot of years doing something I love to do. And you can't really put a price much on that.
So does your wife have her separate career, or she just works with you?
She and I worked together for all those years in comedy clubs, and she's an integral part of the show. If you have ever seen any entertainer, especially magicians, jugglers, people who are doing a presentation, they always have soundtrack music. And invariably, they'll hit the wrong track, or the sound system is not very good, or the track skips, or their timing's off. I never had that problem because she is my live musician. So you picture our comedy club stage, our stage show, still on the fairs, it's like a live silent movie. So picture a Buster Keaton, Harpo Marx thing, and Marcianne plays the clarinet, and that would be like your piano soundtrack on an old black and white movie. She's tracking things, she's keeping things focused. She definitely is a major part of the show.
Okay. I'm kind of curious, you told me that you got into this in college, right? Did you ever want to be anything else? Did you see yourself at that time becoming a lifelong, fair and event worker?
Well, fairs weren't even on my radar at that point. I didn't even think about working fairs till around 2000, 2001.
Okay.
When an agent, a guy named Alan Sands, saw a tape of us somewhere and said, "Hey, come on out, and I'm going to try to get you working fairs." You talked to Pippi Jean, and Alan Sands got her into the business too. So up to that, comedy for parties and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have interviewed Ellen Sands. Okay, so do you only work in Wisconsin now?
No, not at all. In fact, we just came back. We did 2 fairs in Idaho. We did the Twin Falls Fair, and we did the Eastern Idaho Fair, State Fair. We work all over. They will have us. Okay,
so I always like to ask what's some of your best experiences. Can you give me a couple of them?
Yeah. We had a great time. We got to do the Alaska State Fair, and we also worked up in Alaska a couple times at a comedy club. And those were all fabulous experiences. The fair up there is very strange because the weather is cold and rainy. And almost anywhere else you're at a fair and you're doing your show and it starts to rain and everybody gets up and scatters. And in Alaska, if they're sitting out and they're out in the thing and you're covered and you're doing your show and it starts to rain, they kind of look up and they kind of shrug and they kind of put their hoods up and they just stay there. It was the most amazing thing in the world. It's like it's pouring, but these people are still just, well, that's Alaska. This is what happens. So that was pretty cool. And then one other time we went up to Alaska, and right when we landed, we got there for a comedy club, and Mount Spur had erupted. It was like 85 miles away. So later that evening and the next day, well, first of all, we saw these super dark clouds, and we were going, if this was the Midwest, that would be a tornado coming. But what it was really was the ash from the volcano. And the next day it actually snowed volcanic ash. We had about, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch of volcanic ash fall over. And that was pretty interesting.
Okay. All right. What about bad experiences?
Oh, we've had our share of those, too. We're not supposed to talk about those. But we've done shows where you have one of our worst things is high school lockups. They have a prom, and then everybody's locked in, and they want entertainment. Now, the people booking the entertainment are usually the parents, so they don't want, like, something dirty that, like a comic, which the kids probably would love to have. So they're trying to find something that's funny, but yet not offensive. So they would watch our show at a comedy club, and they would go, oh, this would be perfect. The problem is, of course, I'm a clown, and you tell a bunch of high school kids that you're going to have a clown performing, they're going to hate you before they've seen you, and they're never going to stop hating you no matter what you do. So we've had some pretty bad experiences with that. It got to the point where if people want us to do lockups, we say we'll do them, but then it costs like $10,000. They go, well, that's really expensive. We go, yeah, we don't want to do it. You don't want us there. And the last time it happened, we kind of got sneaked into it. And this was many, many years ago, but we had booked this one town. They're community shows. Okay, great. So the first night we did this show, and it was in this community center, and everybody from town came, and they loved us. We were great. Of course, you're the stars from somewhere else. Oh, that was hilarious. Families. Next night, and we didn't find this out till we got there, the next night was the prom lockup with all the high school kids. And we didn't know that going into it. But then we get there and like, okay, well, we'll start doing the show. And, of course, they hated us the whole time. And the people who had seen the show the night before were just like dumbfounded. Like, well, what happened? Well, they're just going to hate us. There's not a lot we can do about it. You plug away at it and hope a few people have fun. But
so is there any place that you would like to perform that you haven't had the chance to?
I don't know. It never occurred. Yeah, we wouldn't mind. I'm looking over at my wife. She's going, yeah, maybe, doing some stuff in Europe might be fun. We did get to go to Tahiti, and the reason we got to go there is because I'm a silent clown. There's no language barrier. So I know that would be the same thing in Europe. If we worked, France, Spain, any place in Europe, we could just do our show. We wouldn't have to worry about changing things or getting translators or anything.
That's cheating.
in fact, in Louisville, Kentucky, we had a very big following from the deaf community. They have a very vast deaf community there. So every time we'd be there, there would be like 30, 40, 50 people who were deaf who would come to see our show. Because you didn't need to be able to hear to get the jokes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this statue thing, where did that come from?
Well, like I said earlier, I saw some people doing it in Spain, and I thought I could do that. And so then I started doing it, and, it's easy for me, and other people think it's hard, but it's easy for me to just stand still and not move. And then I found the secret is when somebody actually gives you money, if you can actually interact with them, then it adds to it, and then more people want to do it. So I have 3 characters I've been doing pretty much. One of them is a dancing robot, and he looks the most like a statue. But I have a cowboy guy who then will actually, like if a kid comes up, I'll spin a rope around the kid, and that's very popular. One kid gets that done, and every kid like, oh, I want to do that. And then I have a jester character who actually juggles and throws balls out to people so they can throw them back. So the interaction with that seems to work really well.
So how many years have you been doing this, Mr. Hatter?
Well, I started in 1982, so I'll let you do the math. I used to like we send promo out for comedy clubs all the time, and you say, oh, I've been performing for 20 years, and then every year you have to change that. So I just started in 1982 and let them figure it out. So it's been 40 years basically.
Do you do your own booking then, I take it?
Well, yes, to a certain degree. I mean, we also, if there's an agent who wants to book us, that's fine too. But yes, generally we do our own. We go to we do a few conventions that book fairs, and that helps a lot. And then when we did comedy clubs, it was all my own stuff, booking all the time. And that was a hassle. But
okay. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you, Mr. Hatter. So how do people reach you if they're interested?
Well, you can always call phone number 920-866-9227. And online, it would be tchattermarcian.com.
Okay. So I take it you're going to be in business for quite a few more years yet, huh?
Well, I've got a few more anyway. I mean, it is getting to the point this year where I'm standing on my box doing my statue thinking, I got to get a character that sits down.
It happens to all of us, I'm afraid.
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay, Mr. Hatter, thank you very much. I've enjoyed the interview.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Bye-bye.